It's no secret that Stephen King is my favorite author of all time, and I think it's time I finally did some rankings of his books, and that's what I got for you today. So let's get started. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I am Zach with Zach's Books, and today I have got for you a ranking video on Stephen King books. I've read over 30 books by Stephen King so far, and today I'm going to start a ranking list from 20 down to 1. I'm not going to do all the ones I've read yet because I'm still kind of cramming the numbers together to figure out the specific order, but I think I've got 20 through 1 solidly set for now. I still have a bunch that I still am yet to read, and so I'm going to show you 20 through 16 today. So without further ado, let's get started. So starting at number 20 is a book that not a lot of people actually like, but I really enjoyed it, and that is From a Buick 8. This book was really good to me. I really liked it. There was a sense of change in narrative, in my opinion. This was one that he wrote around the time of his accident. You can kind of tell where he changes tone, I'll say. The beginning part is like really cool because you're kind of going like back and forth about like, okay, what's going on with this Buick? What's going on? And then at some point it just kind of changes to like what feels like somewhat of a different story. And it just kind of stays in one perspective for a very good amount of time. And that's kind of why it's only listed at number 20 for me, because it just wasn't fully there for me. But it was a good book at the beginning. So that's why it ranks up a little higher than some other books on the list. Because I really liked it. It was a good read. I think I gave it 4 stars, but I would definitely recommend it. And my review is on Goodreads for it. I think at the time when I did read this, I don't think I was full on reviews. I think I was just doing star ratings. So I think you're only going to see a star rating for this one and the first couple on here. But From a Buick 8 was good, and I actually really enjoyed it. So I recommend it, and that is From a Buick 8. At number 20. Next up at number 19 is a Bachman book, and I was kind of struggling on where my Bachmans were going to lie in this top 20 tier list, and I think I got it set up the right way. There's a total of 3 of them out of the 6 I think I've read. Maybe I've read 7, I don't remember. This one, I really enjoyed this one. It was really good, and that is Roadwork. This one was really, I mean, it was a good read. It was semi-fast paced. There were some points where it was kind of slowing down. And this one's pretty much about a guy who lives in a town, and there's a big highway being built into it. And so they told everyone in the town that you have to move out. But this guy like really doesn't want to leave. And so he puts up a really big fight against like everyone in the town, like with him wanting to stay there, and he's got a struggling marriage. What's his name? Barton Dawes is his name, which is a pretty cool name actually. Everyone calls him Bart. I mean, this was a good book. I think I gave it. This was another 4-star. I think it was. Again, Goodreads down below. But I highly recommend this book if you're reading Bachman. This was This was the second book that I read in my Stephen King journey. The first one was The Long Walk, and this was the second one. And it had an impact on me. It was really good. So I'd read it again, and I recommend that you read it. And that is Roadwork by Richard Bachman, Stephen King, at number 19. Coming in at number 18 is Firestarter. This book was fun to read. It was about a little girl named Charlie who had 2 like super-powered parents. I think the dad had mind control, and the mom, I forget what the mom had. She ended up passing away earlier on in the book, and so she wasn't really around, so the dad was kind of watching the girl. But the girl has got pyrokinesis, which is like kind of like what Carrie has. Like you can just like set stuff on fire just by looking at it and using your mind. And so there's like an agency that's like trying to capture her because they think that she's like a major threat, and the dad's trying to fight to protect her, and she gets captured, but then the dad gets her back, and it's really back and forth. It's really good. I really recommend it. I think this is another 4-star for me. And fun fact, this was actually the second pure Stephen King I read, non-Bachman. But I recommend this book. Highly recommend it. I would read it. I'd read it again, too. I eventually am going to reread all these, and my list is probably going to change. Very much so. But as of right now, Firestarter, number 18. Next on my list is a Dark Tower book, and I really enjoyed this one. This is number 17, Wolves of the Kala. I like this one a lot more because it had more like fighting sequences into it. And this book was coming off of Wizard and Glass originally. And if you've read Wizard and Glass, you know that's in my like least favorite books. I just really didn't like Wizard and Glass. So coming from that, and I guess I read Wind Through the Keyhole before I did this one because chronologically that one's before this. So getting back into the quest was really good. Like coming from like just a 600-page backstory and then another like 300-page like whatever Wind Through the Keyhole was, like another backstory. It was kind of irritating because after Wastelands it's like, oh cool, journey's starting, and it's like, nope, 900-page wait. And then you come into this and you're right back into it. You actually meet Father Callahan, which is the priest from Salem's Lot, which I thought was another cool thing that kind of like connects Stephen King's universe together, all surrounding the Dark Tower series. And Wolves of the Kala, like I said, there's the big fighting it towards the end. Everyone has got like their own kind of like story to deal with. Eddie's got like an issue with like a robot. Susanna has got an issue of her own. I'm not going to tell you what it is because it's going to spoil it, and I don't want to spoil this book for you if you have not gotten to this one yet. And Roland is dealing with Roland's stuff. Like his stuff is just weird that he has to deal with. Then there's Oi. Oi is just Oi. He's the dog. You have to love Oi. If you don't love Oi, then just stop reading the book and just stop. Jake befriends a whole bunch of group of kids. They're like all tormented by like these wolves that come into town, and they take a bunch of the children and they like leave. And so the surviving groups, like Jake befriends them and kind of like helps train them on how to like survive like the attack. He eventually does become like one of the gunslingers. So he's trained on gun work. There's Roland, Susanna, Eddie. So you got 4 people who have got gun skills. And they even mentioned like, and if Oi had like opposable thumbs, like he'd be a gunslinger. So they kind of have like 5. So, like I said, this coming off of Wind Through the Keyhole and Wizard and Glass, Wolves of the Kala really got me back into the Dark Tower series. The last 2 books weren't as good, but the whole series was really good. And Wolves of the Kala was a fantastic book. I would read it. Obviously read the other ones first. But Wolves of the Kala, really good book. That is number 17. Coming in at number 16 is another Bachman book, and that is Thinner. To put in perspective my listing, this is the number 2 Bachman book on my list, coming in at number 16. And I've got one more after this, and this one was really good. I really enjoyed this book. It was creepy. The story was just bizarre. This fat lawyer is getting some action in his car while he's driving, hits a gypsy woman, and the gypsy woman's father puts a curse on him and saying the word thinner, and like rubs his hand on his face, and the guy starts losing weight tremendously, and it's like really bizarre because everyone's asking, what's your diet? And he's like, I'm not on a diet, I'm cursed. And no one's like, those aren't real. And the only 2 people that believe him are the two people who got him off for the murder, which is the judge and the police chief. And they end up getting cursed as well. Theirs are, I want to say, a little worse in my opinion. I think one of them gets like scales and starts turning into like some kind of like dragon thing. And the other one just turns into some like grotesque monster that's just like really gross. And I really like the book. I highly recommend this book. I would read it in a heartbeat. This is number 2 on my Bachman list, which that's another video that I'm going to be having coming out, is my tier ranking for Bachman. But Thinner, a really good book. I mean, it falls at number 16 in the top 20, which I guess is statistically not that high, but it's a really good book. But I'm comparing it to some gems, which are going to be coming up. So, Thinner, Richard Bachman, Stephen King, number 16. Alright guys, so that was 16 through 20. I'm going to be having 15 through 11 coming up soon. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and we'll see you guys in the next one. Bye!